All right, today we're going to be talking about solving equations with the distributive property. So you hopefully remember that something that looks like this with the number, that is an eraser. For some reason it doesn't like to go, oh, here we go. Something that looks like that is the distributive property when you have a number sitting outside of parentheses. So if you see an equation written like that, it has two factors actually. The p, the number sitting outside the parentheses, and the sum, or the quantity like inside the parentheses. So you could just distribute straight through and then solve it, or you can do a shortcut. Let's try the distributive property method first. So I'm going to take this equation right here, and I'm going to rewrite it so I can work with it, and I'm going to distribute that -3, which you all know how to do, right? -3 times x is -3x, and -3 times 5 is -15. And then I'm going to look for that constant term, which is the -15, and do the opposite, which is adding 15 to both sides. So I'm going to get -3x, -15 plus 15 is 0, and then 45 plus 15 is 60. And then my last step will be to divide both sides by a -3 to undo the coefficient. So x would be -20. All right, there's another way you can do that using a shortcut. And that shortcut is to divide both sides of the equation by the number in front of the parentheses, which we're calling p. So let's take the same equation and try it with the shortcut. So I can divide both sides, like both sides, the entire side, by -3, the number in front of parentheses. Over on the left, -3 divided by -3 gives me just 1, and so it cancels out. And all I have left on the left side is x plus 5. Over here, I have -15, 45 divided by -3. So I'm going to, look at that, I just have a one-step equation. So I'm going to see what's happening to the variable. Since we're adding 5, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. And on the left, that just gives me x because 5 minus 5 is 0. On the right, I have -20 because both of those numbers would be on the negative side of the scoreboard. So look at that, I got the same answer. And I actually don't care which method you use. You can use the shortcut or you can distribute. Let's try a couple more examples though, just to give you some good practice. All right, so the next equation is 1.5 times the quantity 4m minus 3 equals 7.5. So one tip I have for you is you would use the shortcut if the number in front of the parentheses is a factor of this constant on the right side of the equation, which means it goes into it evenly, right? So if I divide both sides by the number in front of parentheses, this cancels out, leaving me with what was in the parentheses. And then 7.5 divided by 1.5 is 5. If 1.5 did not go into 7.5 evenly, you wouldn't use the shortcut. It would just make it messier. All right, now I have a two-step equation. I can add 3 to both sides and then divide by 4. I need to write smaller, huh? So I get 2. And of course, you would check this, but I don't want this video to be long, so you should definitely be checking your answers. All right, let's try doing this with the distributive property so I can show you that they are indeed the same answer, and it doesn't matter which way you do it. So I'm going to multiply both terms in parentheses by 1.5. So I know 1.5 times 2 is 3, so times 4 would be 6. And then 1.5 times 3 is going to give me 4.5. So now I have a two-step equation. So if I add 4.5 to both sides, this is going to give me 12, huh? So when I divide both sides by 6, I get, oh, look at that, it's an m. Anyways, this should be an m, but we get the same answer. All right, last example. This one looks a little scary because it has a fraction in front of it. So this might actually be an example of when using the shortcut is going to be good. It's going to get rid of that fraction for us. But when we distribute it, I think the fractions cancel out anyways also. So let's see how this is going to go. All right, so I would divide both sides by 3/4. That's my shortcut, right? We know dividing by 3/4 is the same as multiplying by 4/3. When we divide fractions, we multiply that by the reciprocal of the second fraction. And lucky us, this makes 12 over 12, or just 1. So I don't have to write that. They cancel out. So I have 12x minus 8 on the left. And then over here, I'm going to definitely do cross canceling. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 24 8 times. So I have negative 8 times 4 is negative 32. Now I have a two-step equation. I can add 8 and then divide by 12. Divide by 12, and that's going to give me x equals 2. All right, let's try that with the distributive property over here and see if we get the same thing. Again, it looks a little scary because it's fractions, but it's not that bad. So I'm going to multiply the 3/4 times each thing in parentheses. So I'll have 3/4 times 12x, and I'll have like subtracting 3/4 times 8, or you could make it adding 3/4 times negative 8. You'll get the same thing. All right, so this is not too bad over here. 3/4 of 12. If you want to just think of this as like 12 over 1 and cancel here, then you have 9x. You want to think of this as 8 over 1 and cancel here, you'll get minus 6. So to solve this, I'm going to add 6 and then divide by 9. So I'm going to get... Oh, I see a mistake I made over here. Did you guys catch it before? This should be a negative and this should be a negative, because when I do this, I was just noticing I wasn't getting the same answer. I have more negatives than positives. So anyways, over here is a negative 18. Over here is a 9x. And when I divide both sides by 9, I'm going to get x equals negative 2. So I did get the same answer. Caught my mistake on that other one. This doesn't look very much like a negative. So let me write it again. Oh my goodness. Here we go. All right. Thanks for watching.